We've been together since the night we graduated high school. Alice was the first girl I ever kissed, the first girl I ever really loved. When people ask how long we've been together, I just smile. It's not even a number anymore. It's a life. First dates turned into weekends. Weekends turned into leases. Then rings, then forever. 6 years married and still. Sometimes I catch myself staring at her across the kitchen and thinking, gosh, how'd I get so lucky? Sure, we had our fights. Some nights we went to bed angry. Some mornings we didn't speak, but we always found our way back. That was the thing about us. We fought, we stumbled, but we always held on. Because Alice was home. We dreamed of having kids since the beginning. Not right away, not in the first year. But over time, it became something sacred between us. We tried. Sometimes with hope, sometimes with fear. But so far, nothing. But there's something else you should know about me. Something I don't talk about much. 7 years ago, I lived through hell. Joplin, Missouri, May 2011. I was supposed to be home that night, my parents' place. But last second, I decided to crash at Kyle's. Some dumb poker night that ran late. Next morning, I woke up to sirens, dozens of missed calls. And when I got to our street, there was nothing. The house I grew up in, gone, ripped clean from the foundation. Same with the neighbors. The same porch swing I used to push my niece on was twisted around a light pole like a ribbon. The whole block looked like war. It took them days to identify everyone. The funeral, I don't even remember. People say stuff like, "You're lucky, you survived." But I didn't feel lucky. I felt like a ghost. Since that day, I've never slept right, never breathed the same way. I flinch at sudden weather changes. Can't stand heavy wind. Can't even close a window without feeling like I'm sealing myself into a coffin. Therapists said PTSD. Doctors gave me pills, but nothing made it stop, not really. Until one night, a year ago, I opened ChatGPT. It was supposed to be a joke. I saw a video online. AI therapist listens better than your ex. I typed, "I don't sleep. I see storms when I close my eyes." And it replied, "Tell me more." That was all I needed. I didn't tell Alice at first, didn't want her to worry. But soon, it became a routine. When she went to bed, I'd stay up typing. Some nights it was just about weather. Other nights I talked about fear, about how hard it was to breathe when things got too quiet. I told it things I couldn't say out loud, not to Alice, not to anyone. And it never interrupted, never rolled its eyes. I don't know if that makes me crazy, but it helped. One night, I brought up Alice. I typed it like always into the chat. Said something simple. She's kind of pulled away from the whole baby thing lately. A few months ago, she was tracking her cycle, scheduling blood tests, asking when I had time to get checked too. Now, nothing, not a word. She changed her hair, chopped short, lighter at the ends, started wearing bolder clothes, brighter, tighter, not her usual soft neutrals. And she'd been staying late at work, a lot. I remember typing, maybe I'm just overthinking. New boss, new deadlines, more pressure? ChatGPT's reply came fast, almost too fast. "It's possible your wife is having an affair." I stared at the screen. Read that sentence 10 times. Then I shut the laptop, got up, walked to the kitchen, poured a glass of water with a hand that wouldn't stop shaking. There was this photo on the fridge, me and Alice smiling on the shore of Lake Michigan. Summer, her hair blowing in the wind, arms around me like we had the whole freaking world figured out. I stared at that photo and whispered, "What the hell?" She was out of town that week. Business trip to Seattle, 3 days. I didn't text her, didn't say a word. I just sat there in the dark, staring at the ceiling like maybe some answer would drop from above. An hour later, I opened the laptop again, typed, "Explain. Why would you say that?" Chat's response was calm, neutral. "You mentioned a change in behavior, new appearance, increased distance, decreased interest in shared plans, and more time at work. These are common indicators of emotional withdrawal, or the presence of a third party. It's not proof, but it's worth considering." I sat there, staring at the blinking cursor. Then I typed, "So you really think she's cheating?" "I think you think she might be. Otherwise, you wouldn't have told me any of this." I closed the laptop again, but something had shifted. The thoughts wouldn't stop. I went to her closet, looked through her makeup bag, opened drawers. Nothing. Not a single clue. No lipstick smudges, no strange receipts, no hotel keys. I tried to tell myself I was being ridiculous, but it was like a thread had been pulled loose. And now I couldn't stop tugging at it. So I made a decision. When Alice came back from her trip, I wasn't going to ask questions. I wasn't going to confront her. I was just going to watch, quiet, careful. See if the woman walking through that door was still mine. I heard the door around 9. That familiar sound of her key sticking a little in the top lock. She walked in, dragging her suitcase behind her, a shoulder bag slung across and her phone in hand. The hallway filled instantly with her perfume, the one she used to save for special occasions. "Hey," she smiled, barely glancing at me. "I'm home." "How was the trip?" I asked, keeping my voice steady, like I was just making conversation. But my chest was already tightening. "It went fine. Honestly, I'm exhausted. Had a layover. Total nightmare." "What did you guys do? Meetings, dinners, anything interesting?" "The usual, presentations, one business lunch. Thursday night we all went out to dinner, then hit a bar after, but I didn't stay long." It sounded rehearsed, like a line she'd practiced on the flight home. I didn't say anything, just nodded. The next day, she came home from work early and she looked like she'd been hit by a truck. Not just tired, not just stressed, wrecked. Her coat was half-buttoned, her hair a mess, eyes glassy and unfocused. She dropped her bag by the door and stood there for a second like she wasn't sure where she was. I got up from the couch slowly. "Alice?" She didn't answer, just started walking past me toward the hallway. That's when I saw it, a slash of red across her cheek. Not a scratch from a tree branch, not something small. It was raw, angry. Then the bruises, both forearms, deep, finger-shaped, and her hair, right above the temple, thinned, like someone had yanked out a handful. "Jesus! Alice! What the hell happened?" I moved toward her fast. She flinched, actually flinched. "I'm fine," she muttered, trying to keep moving. "No, you're not." I stepped in front of her. "What happened to your face?" "I told you, I'm fine." Her voice was flat, too flat. "You didn't tell me anything. Did someone hurt you?" She sighed and looked away. "I fell. There were wet stairs at the office garage. I slipped." "The office garage," I repeated deadpan. "In sneakers?" That made her blink, just for a second. "I don't want to talk about it," she said, sharper now, pulling her arm away. "Can I just take a shower?" I watched her walk down the hallway, shoulders curled in, avoiding every reflective surface like her own face might accuse her. That was no fall. That was a cover story. And it didn't explain the bruises, didn't explain the fear in her eyes. The next morning, Alice said she had to go in for a few hours. "Just paperwork and lunch with the team. I won't be long." I looked at her, the faint bruise on her cheek, the way her jacket collar was pulled high. "You want me to drive you?" I asked. She smiled a little too fast. "No need, I'm fine." "You sure?" "I can handle it, Sam." She kissed me on the cheek and walked out like everything was normal, but it wasn't. So I followed her. I just wanted to make sure she was safe. If someone had hurt her, I wanted to know who. I wanted to be close enough in case she needed me, even if she didn't ask. I parked across from her office and waited. 1 hour, then another. At first I felt stupid, creepy even. What the hell was I doing, hiding in my own car like a paranoia? But just when I was about to leave, I saw her. Tall woman, long chestnut hair whipping in the wind, black coat, moving fast, nervous. She was heading straight toward our car. That's when I saw it. She was holding a nail. I didn't understand at first. Then she crouched and dragged it across the back fenders, slow and angry. Big white letters tearing into the paint. 403! Garden tool. My blood went cold. "Hey!" I shouted, already running. "What the hell are you doing?" She whipped around, startled, then bolted. I jumped in the car and gave chase. She blew through 2 intersections, weaving like a maniac. Tires screeching, almost clipped a mailbox. I stayed on her bumper. No hesitation, no blinking. She hit the gas again. I swerved hard, cut across 2 lanes and jerked the wheel. Blocked her, dead center. She slammed her brakes. Too late. I was already out, didn't feel the door handle, didn't think. Just yanked it open so hard the frame shook. She screamed. I reached in and grabbed her arm before she could move. "What the hell is wrong with you?" I shouted. "Who the hell are you?" "Let me go!" she yelled, twisting, but I didn't let go. "Who are you?" She froze, chest heaving. Then she looked me dead in the eyes and said, "I'm Diana, Jack's wife." I blinked. "Jack, Alice's boss?" She nodded, voice trembling now but steady. "Yeah, that's right. Your wife's been screwing my husband for months, in case you didn't know." You serious?" I asked, my voice barely holding. She didn't blink. "I caught them, in bed, told him to stop. I said it had to end." She shook her head once. That was months ago. He promised, swore it was over. Her voice turned bitter. Then I heard about the Seattle trip, and when he came home, lipstick on his collar. Classic, like something out of a bad joke. I'm filing for divorce, she said flatly. And yeah, if you're wondering, I hit your wife. She paused, looked me right in the eye. I don't regret it. I didn't say a word, just stood there. And suddenly it all clicked. The scratches, the missing hair, the bruises, the lie about the stairs. She didn't fall, she was attacked. And not by some stranger, by this woman, by Diana. For what it's worth, she added, I've got proof, messages, photos. Just not with me right now. I'll show you, just warning you. Some of it's not easy to look at. I followed her. Small house, red mailbox at the edge of the driveway. The yard was overgrown, weeds creeping through the cracks in the walkway. Strange. I'd seen photos of Jack's place on corporate slides before. Everything had looked perfect, like a catalog. She let me in without a word. No small talk, no pleasantries. Sit down. You want coffee? She asked, already pulling her tablet off the charger. No. I sat on the edge of the couch, hands in my lap. She tapped the screen a few times, opened her gallery, turned the tablet toward me. The first image, a screenshot of messages. He called her boss, and she answered, You're a sinful girl. One of hers read, I still think about that hotel couch. Next, a grainy photo from a security cam outside the office. They were face to face. Jack's hand was on Alice's waist. She was wearing the same dress she'd packed for Seattle. Then another shot from the parking lot. They were kissing in the shadows between two cars. I followed them for weeks, Diana said, voice tight. He thought I didn't know. She thought I was an idiot. Her mouth twitched, pain behind her eyes. The irony? I trusted him, just like you trusted her. I nodded slowly, didn't say a word. I didn't need to. Everything I needed to know was on that screen. Diana went quiet for a few seconds. Then, out of nowhere, she moved closer, sat down beside me. Too close. I've been thinking, Sam, she said, barely above a whisper. They betrayed us. They wrecked our marriages. Maybe it's time they feel the same. I didn't get it at first, but then she placed her hand on my knee and there was no mistaking it. Diana, just think about it, she said, eyes locked on mine. No strings, no guilt, just balance. No, I pulled back. No, that's not how. She froze, looked down. I'm sorry, that was stupid. Her voice cracked. I'm just so angry. I don't even know who I am anymore. I'm angry too, I said, but that won't help. Not you, not me. They're not worth us losing ourselves. She sat up straighter, reached for the throw blanket on the armrest and pulled it around her. You're right. I'm ashamed. I don't recognize myself lately. I used to know who I was. They made us feel like we weren't enough, I said. But we don't have to become worse versions of ourselves to prove anything. She nodded slowly. We sat in silence for a few more minutes. Then she walked me to the door. Didn't touch me again. Right before I stepped outside, she said, If you ever need to talk, come by. Not as some co-conspirator in revenge, just as a person. I nodded. And same goes for you. I got home earlier than usual. Walked in, looked at the couch, the kitchen, the framed photo on the shelf, me, her, the shore, the sun, and the shadow that hung over all of it now. I walked into the bedroom, opened her closet, pulled out a suitcase, and started packing, fast. No hesitation, her dresses, her makeup, chargers, underwear, that stack of work papers she kept near the bed. Even the blanket she always wrapped herself in on quiet nights. I carried it all outside, set it down gently on the grass, right beside our mailbox, the one with our last name painted on it. Then I sat on the front steps, lit a cigarette, and waited. She pulled up about 20 minutes later, braked hard, got out fast, keys still in hand. Then she saw the suitcase, the boxes. She froze. Sam, what is this? I looked up from the steps, met her eyes, calm, steady. You tell me, I said. Maybe start by explaining the word scratched into your car. Back fender, big letters, nail, 403, garden tool. She flinched, whipped her head around like she hadn't noticed it until now. Her mouth opened, closed. Then she tried. It's some kids. Seriously, a couple of cars in the office lot got keyed. Cops think it's teenagers from the neighborhood. I filed a report. Alice, I cut her off, voice low. Not angry, just done. I know. She went still, completely still. What exactly do you know? I know about you and Jack, about Seattle, the office, the hands, the kisses, the lies. She didn't move. Then finally, she dropped her gaze. It's not what you think, she whispered. It wasn't, it wasn't like that. Don't insult me. I'm not in the mood for theater. Her shoulders curled forward. A pause. Then quietly, he forced me. I didn't speak. She looked up, and her voice cracked. He threatened me, Sam. Said if I didn't play along, he'd ruin me, my name, my resume. Said people would hear I'm difficult, unstable, not a team player. That no serious firm would touch me again. And so you slept with him? She nodded slowly, then broke. Not dramatic, not fake. She folded in on herself like a child, sobbing hard, arms hugging her ribs. I was scared, Sam. I didn't know what to do. I hate him. I hate myself. I swear. It was once. Just once. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't stand the thought of you looking at me like that. And I looked. Really looked. And I didn't know what I felt. I don't know, Alice, I said finally. I don't know if I believe you. Let me explain. Please, let me talk. Just give me the chance. I sat in silence for a moment, then exhaled. Come inside, but don't touch me. And if I feel, even for a second, that you're lying again, we're done. She nodded, eyes wide, broken. Thank you, she whispered. Of course, I wasn't going to let it go just like that. If Alice had told me the truth about being pressured into intimacy, then I needed to speak to her boss. Right now, I already knew where he lived. Jumped in the car, and 30 minutes later, I was there. Black Tesla in the driveway, garage door open. Jack was hunched over a workbench fiddling with a bike, probably for his kid. I got out, walked over, quiet, controlled. Jack? He turned, saw me, paused for half a second. Can I help you? He actually smiled, calm, polite, like I was just stopping by for coffee. You seriously asking me that? You blackmailed my wife, Alice, you piece of crap! I stepped closer, fists clenched tight. Threatened her career. Pressured her into sleeping with you. That's what happened, right? He scoffed, actually scoffed. Sam, right? Her husband? Listen, I'll admit it. Between us, we were both adults, but, he said, dropping his voice like he was doing me a favor, she came to me. She started it, not me. Every time you were texting dinner's ready, babe, she was laughing at you. He tilted his head. She showed me your messages. Thought they were cute, pathetic, but cute. Shut your mouth. Maybe you just couldn't keep her happy. I don't know. All I know is she was easy. You get that? Easy, Sam. I hit him. Clean shot. Right to the jaw. He slammed into the hood of the car. He tried to stand. I hit him again. And again. We weren't even fighting. We were unraveling. You're insane! He yelled, shielding his face. I'll press charges. You hear me? I'll ruin you. And I heard it. The siren. Close. Some neighbor must have called it in. I turned, bolted, jumped in the car, sped off. Didn't look back. My heart was pounding so loud it drowned everything out. My hands were shaking, but my mind, empty. I didn't know who to believe anymore. Alice cried, swore he broke her. Jack laughed, said it was all her. If even half of what he said was true, who the hell had I been living with all these years? I grabbed my phone and texted Brendan. I need access to her entire corporate message history. Slack, Teams, Zoom, everything, now. I had a guy. Everyone used to call him Brendan IT. We studied together back in the day. He went into cybersecurity, real sharp, real quiet. He didn't ask questions. We met at his place. Dim apartment, 2 monitors, energy drinks stacked like trophies. I handed over everything I had. Alice's old laptop, her email access, her still active corporate login. Brendan powered it all up and said, if there's anything on here, I'll find it, but are you sure you're ready? I nodded. A few hours later, he sent me a zip folder and one file labeled flirt_start.mp4. No audio, just a screen recording, clicking through messages, highlighted dates. Slack, November. Alice. When's your next magical presentation, boss? I'll bring popcorn. Jack. Only if you promise not to throw it at me. Alice. What if I throw looks instead? Then Teams. December. Alice. I feel so helpless without your sarcasm. Maybe you can give me a private survival lesson. Working with all these men. Jack. Ha, yeah, this place is a jungle. Alice. And you're the alpha? Then Zoom chat. January. Alice. We should be discussing these charts over wine and without clothes. Jack. That sounds dangerous. Alice. I always play dangerous. My hands were shaking, not with rage, with the weight of it, but the one that killed something inside me. Right before the Seattle trip. Do we really need separate rooms? I wouldn't mind trying a little adult team building. I leaned back in the chair. The air in the room felt heavy, thick. She wasn't a victim. Not confused, not scared. She was in control. She orchestrated it, every move, every word. I closed the laptop, sat in silence. Then I picked up my phone, called Brendan. Thanks, I said. Now I know the truth. He paused, then quietly. I'm sorry it's this kind of truth. I didn't say anything, just hung up. After that, there was nothing left to weigh. I'd waited for her by the door, right next to the coat rack where she always threw her jacket. She walked in, barely had time to take off her shoes. She saw me, froze mid-step. I want a divorce, I said flatly. Your things are packed. Get out of my house. Sam, no, wait. She stepped toward me, her hands half raised like she might reach for me. Don't touch me. But we can fix this. We've been through too much. I'm not giving up on us. You don't get to throw me away that easy. You crossed a line, I said, steady. There's no more us. She stood there, silent, for a few seconds. Then she left. I didn't shut the door right away. I just stood there and listened to the sound of her footsteps fading down the stairs. 2 days later, I was almost breathing again. Almost. Then at 10:17 p.m., Brendan texted me. Yes, Sam, listen, there's something else. I wasn't sure if I should send it, but I can't keep it to myself. It's from her email. I think you deserve to know. We met the next morning at a coffee shop. No small talk, no bull crap. He brought his laptop, opened her email, still active. He'd found a private folder buried behind her main inbox. It wasn't visible unless you dug for it, he said. Inside were 3 emails, all from a private women's clinic. Appointment confirmation, test results prior to termination. Thank you for trusting us. Wishing you a smooth recovery. Dated last November. The exact time she and I were talking about starting a family, when she was asking me about scheduling blood work, when she was taking prenatal vitamins. She ended the pregnancy? I whispered. The words barely left my throat. Brendan nodded, slow, careful. She hadn't just killed a future. She'd killed the memory of us wanting one. And now I was alone, but at least, I had the truth. I found out Alice was staying with her sister, May D. Her car was parked out front. Same license plate, same dent on the rear bumper. I knocked. She answered the door herself. She was in a robe, holding a cup of tea. No makeup, no performance. For a second, she just stared at me, like she couldn't believe it was real. Then came the half smile, hopeful, desperate. You came to talk? Yeah, I said, but not for the reason you think. I stepped inside without waiting for her to invite me. She moved back automatically, like she'd done it 1,000 times. What's going on? She asked. I didn't sit, didn't take off my coat. When were you planning to tell me you ended pregnancy? The silence dropped hard. Maydee and her husband Danny sat on a couch and heard everything. I asked you something, I said again. I don't know what you're talking about, she whispered. Don't play with me, Alice. My voice was sharp now, shaking at the edges. I saw the emails. From the clinic, the appointment, the test results, the date, everything. She looked like her blood had turned cold. Her hands started trembling. We dreamed of a child. I thought we were in this together. I had to stop. I couldn't finish that sentence. And you just got rid of it. Tears started forming in her eyes. She couldn't look at me. Why? I shouted. And then she snapped, because it wasn't yours. Silence. That word hit like a fist. I took a step forward. My voice dropped to a roar. Whose? She didn't answer. The air felt like lead pressing down on everything. I tried again. Lower now, almost calm. Who? She looked away, shoulders shaking. It doesn't matter anymore. That was all she said. I turned around, walked out the door. She didn't try to stop me. Silence filled the room like smoke. Maydee let out a long breath and stood up. I'll make you some calming tea, she said evenly. Just sit. She walked off toward the kitchen. Danny, her husband, was still sitting on a couch. He hadn't moved. His gaze was heavy, fixed. Alice sat on the edge of the couch, curled in on herself, staring at the floor. Danny took a slow step closer. His voice was low, like he was afraid the walls might hear too much. Is it true? She didn't answer. Answer me, Alice. His voice cracked. That baby. Was it mine? She slowly lifted her head. Her eyes were wet, hollow. I didn't know for sure, she whispered. But There were doubts. Danny closed his eyes and buried his face in both hands. Jesus Christ, Alice! I didn't mean for it to happen. I didn't plan any of this. We were just alone. You said you felt lost. Mady was at the conference and you decided to crawl into your sister's husband's bed? The voice came from the kitchen doorway. Both of them turned. Mady was standing there. The teacup had slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor. Her eyes were blank. Her voice, pure ice. You slept with my husband? Mady, don't say my name, she snapped, already walking toward Alice. How many times? How many? It ended. I swear, it ended. I didn't want to hurt you. Mady turned to Danny. And you? You didn't want to either. Mady, it was a mistake. We were confused. I didn't know what I was doing. She nodded just once. Both of you, out. What? Alice choked. You both pack your crap and get out of my house, out of my life. Alice collapsed to her knees, reaching for her sister's hand. Mady, please. You are not my sister anymore. Mady turned and walked upstairs. No tears, just that frozen calm. Danny and Alice were left in the living room, not speaking. After everything that exploded in that house, the betrayal, the pregnancy, the truth Alice still tried to hide, I went straight to legal. I was done being quiet. My divorce filing came first. Grounds, infidelity, which is legally valid in the state of New York. This time I wasn't going through it passively. I wanted the court to see every detail, every message, every lie, every fact. My attorney, Marla Reed, was sharp as hell. Older, seasoned, zero tolerance for drama. The kind of woman who scared judges and made defense teams sweat. She didn't ask if I was hurting. She asked for documents. I gave her everything. The message threads, the hotel dates, the timeline, the abortion records. Even Mady's signed statement, Alice's own sister confirming her betrayal, not just of me, but of her entire family. Marla flagged the end of pregnancy as a major point. She made a reproductive decision that not only excluded you, she said, flipping through documents, but likely concealed a second act of infidelity. That's not just moral failure, that's actionable deception. And we built our case from there. While we prepared the divorce claim, I filed a separate civil suit. This one was for Jack, misuse of position, abuse of authority, conflict of interest. He wasn't just some random guy. He was her boss, the man who approved her raise, assigned her travel, supervised her directly. Marla crafted the language carefully. Mr. Dempsey, in the course of his role as Alice Miller's direct manager, entered into an ongoing relationship with a subordinate employee, while simultaneously advancing her position in ways that suggest preferential treatment and exerted influence. We served the papers. The company took notice. At the hearing, an HR rep showed up. So did Jack, smug as ever. When asked, he admitted, "Yes, I was her supervisor. Yes, we were involved." That alone was enough. The company reopened their internal investigation immediately. Jack tried to spin it as mutual. Two consenting adults, he said. But HR language doesn't care about romance. They care about liability. And I saw the shift in the room. The way his own colleagues looked away. But the hardest filing was the one I wrote myself. I sued Alice for intentional infliction of emotional distress. Not for vengeance, for truth, to put on record what this really was. I rewrote the statement more times than I can count, crossed out words, reworded sentences, and when I stood in court, it wasn't rehearsed anymore. I just spoke. "Your Honor," I said, "this woman knew everything. She knew what I'd been through. She held me when I talked about my father's betrayal. She saw me cry. And then she went and did the same thing. With full awareness, with no hesitation and no remorse. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. She terminated a pregnancy without telling me, and from what I now know, the child likely wasn't mine. She would have never told me. She let me build dreams on a foundation she had already set on fire. The judge listened carefully. No interruptions. And then she nodded once and said, "The court finds sufficient cause to proceed. This case will be presented to a jury." This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about volume. Letting the truth be loud, not whispered in back rooms, not softened by apologies, not buried behind phrases like, "It was a mistake." I wasn't looking to destroy her. I just wanted the lies to stop pretending they were smaller than they were. The trial was scheduled for the following month. Marla didn't flinch. She prepared everything. The witnesses, the timeline, the corporate logs, the signed affidavits. She warned me that juries don't always reward emotional pain, but I wasn't after sympathy. I wanted the truth laid bare, without filters, without euphemisms. When my day in court came, I stood there and told it all. No dramatics, just facts. I told them how Alice comforted me during panic attacks, how she looked me in the eye and promised we were building something together, and how the whole time she was living a second life. Mady took the stand, calm, composed. She testified to her sister's betrayal, the affair, the secrecy, the lies that tore apart two families. She didn't hesitate once. Then Alice spoke. She looked small, hollow, claimed Jack had manipulated her, that she felt trapped, that it had been a mistake. But when Marla presented the internal messages, no one in the room had to guess anymore. The jury read it for themselves. Alice's tone, her jokes, her selfies, her flirtation, her initiation. Jack tried to play the gentleman, calling it a consensual relationship. But HR wasn't buying it. The director confirmed under oath Jack had violated workplace policy by engaging in a private relationship with a direct subordinate. He had already been placed on leave. His termination was pending. The company sent me a formal apology, sanitized legal language, but I didn't care. The jury deliberated for 2 days. When they came back, they ruled in my favor. Alice was found liable for intentional infliction of emotional distress. The court awarded me $135,000. Not because I asked for it, but because the jury believed what she did mattered. A week later, Alice resigned. No emails, no exit meeting. Her name disappeared from the firm's website like she'd never existed. Jack was fired days later. They both vanished. I sold the house, packed what I wanted, donated what I didn't, took the dog, left the rest. The silence in my new apartment doesn't feel like emptiness. It feels like oxygen. I didn't win because she lost. I won because I finally told the truth.